My classroom is fun, but I don't want to set the bar too high. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Asia and I'm the face behind the Sassy Math Teacher. Now, let's get into the video. The first week of school. I love the first week of school. It just gives you this brand new start. You get to try new things if you want to, and you get to introduce yourself to the students, and you get to meet your new students. I just love how you really set the tone that first week of school. Now, one thing that I like to do is show them a little preview of what the school year will look like. And my classroom is fun, but I don't want to set the bar too high. I don't want them to think that they come in and have a party. So I want them to get a sneak peek of that. But also, as everyone says, make sure the classroom management is in perfect shape at the very beginning of the year. And you'll continue practicing that. So that first week of school, I like to do some fun activities to get to know them. I like to do some fun activities for them to get to know me, but I also like to teach routines and procedures. And we start this on the very first day. I have an entire plan, and if you want this, you can grab it down in the description. It is completely free to you. I have outlined everything I like to do. So I don't like to switch it up too much. I like to keep it consistent. Whatever I know works really well, I use it from year to year. Now, we don't always get to everything. It depends on how long classes are. Mine are usually between 45 and 55 minutes long, depending on my school and the school year, because we know that can change. These lesson plans are really based on a 50-minute schedule. So if you need more, you can add more. If you need less, just take some stuff away. So it's like a little buffet. But this is what works for me. So on the very first day, when students come in, of course, I'm standing at the door and I'm saying hello, and they come in. On that very first day, I already have a seating chart, and it is in alphabetical order. And I'll put a picture of my seating chart on the board. I just use Post-it notes for that. If you want that template, it is also linked below. Each desk usually either has a letter or a number. I started doing letters because I would give them numbers based on like their alphabet or their place in the alphabet, based on their last names. And so I would assign other things based on number, and it just made sense to me to have something different for the desk because they wouldn't be sitting in their numbered desk all year. You understand what I'm saying? So it would be, the seats are labeled A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. And if you have more than 26 desks, then I just double up the letters. So it's AA, BB, CC, DD once we get towards the end. Okay, so that's what they do when they first come in. They're going to go find their seat. And I usually actually have that on the board. So I'll have like a split screen. Half the screen has the seating chart on it so they can look at the board, because that's a routine. They're going to look at the board every day. And then the other part of the board will tell them what they need to do when they get to their seat. And what do they do when they get to their seat? They're going to make a name tent. So that first week of school, I like to have like some tools out for them, some colored pencils, some markers, something simple. It could literally just be like one marker. It doesn't have to be fancy. And they just make their name tent. This is just a hot dog folded page, and they write their name in the box real big. And then I tell them they can decorate it however they want, and then place it on their desk for the teacher to see. I recommend doing this on cardstock if you want them to be really sturdy. However, it's not just a name tent, okay? This is also weekly review number 0. So we do a weekly review every single day in my classroom, which is just a warm-up. They're due now. And it's 1 question per day, sometimes 2 a day. It just depends on how I'm feeling. But it's not just a weekly review. It's also a little teacher trivia. So once they answer the question, they're going to learn something about me because it's multiple choice. So if the answer to this question is 25, then they'll know that my favorite book genre is science fiction. It is not. It's definitely thriller, but you would be able to. This template is in my TPT store. You actually change the answers based on whatever your answers would be. Okay, so at the end of the week, they will have learned a lot about you. And if you want to take it a step further, with my weekly reviews, I usually give them a quiz at the end of the week, the last day of the week. I don't say Friday because sometimes the last day is a Thursday. So anyway, the last day of each week, they will have a quiz. It's called the weekly review quiz. So you could give them their first quiz that first week, and it could be all about you. Usually with the weekly reviews, I would choose 1 or 2 questions from the week and put that on the quiz. And that's what's great. I don't grade the individual weekly review. I just grade that quiz at the end of the week. And if they paid attention to their weekly review all week, then they won't have any problems. But if they didn't pay attention, they will have problems. Okay? So that's the first thing they do. That's the first 5 minutes of class. It shouldn't take too long. It shouldn't. So after they make their name tag, then I'm going to give them an introduction to me. So I'm going to introduce them to me using some numbers. So I just tell them a little bit about where I'm from. It's just simple. I like to incorporate some math into the things that they learn about me as well. And that is like very quick because I want to get right into the procedures. So there are some very important procedures to teach on the first day. And by this point, they've already seen one, which is the do now procedure. So how will they come into class and get started? I have a checklist of all the procedures that we're going to be going over. That first day, we'll focus on the do now procedure, the entering the room, the exiting the room, and how I'm going to get their attention. Now, those are like the main things I teach that first day. And so that's what we talk about at that point. So right after I tell them about myself, we're going to get into that. And we practice right away. What does that mean? Everyone's going to get up. We're going to go into the hallway. We're going to practice coming in and getting started on that do now. It's like a little dress rehearsal. Okay. So we're going to do that. And I like to practice everything at least 4 times. So I would print this checklist for each class period and mark off when we do it. So for example, if you have a split period where kids go to lunch and then come back to the classroom, then that dismissal procedure or exiting the classroom procedure will be a little different. So I have one for each class period. And again, I just check it off each time we practice. Okay, so after we do that, students are going to complete a math about me page. Now this is fun. They get creative from the very first day. So what I like to do, this is going to take about 15 minutes. You set a timer, always set a timer. And I have some timers on my page. If you want to grab one, you can just project on your screen, an easy to use timer. So it's just a math about me activity. Play some music. I also have classroom playlists where you can play, some instrumentals, or if you want some words. And this will give students an opportunity to see like how independent work will look in the classroom. At least for me, I'm always playing music. And then when they're done, you can practice that procedure of getting students' attention, however you choose to do that. If you want to know more about my procedures, I do have them listed out in that freebie that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. All right, so next up, we're going to do the numbers activity. The numbers activity is really easy, really fun. There are 2 things you have to do. You're going to write numbers. You're going to put numbers around the classroom. So it can just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then you're going to ask them a number-based question. So the question may be, how many siblings do you have? If the answer is 5, they go to the 5 on the wall. If it's 1, they'll move to the 1. If it's 0, I usually put them in the center of the room to make them feel awkward. Just kidding. You can put a 0 on the wall to, have the only kids together. All right. So that's really fun. And then, like I said, we like to get to know the students. So the next thing we do, which is the last thing, is the first day of school survey. So I'm just asking them, how do they like to work? What do they do after school? Do they like chocolate candy or fruity candy? So I know what I need to purchase to bribe them with. And yeah, you just learn a lot about them with this survey. So after they do that, we're going to learn how to leave the classroom. How do we dismiss? I am one of those teachers who says that the bell does not dismiss you. I do. And so we learn that. Make sure you build in enough time to actually practice it before it's time for dismissal. Okay, so it's not like, because everyone is going to jump up and try to leave if you don't tell them ahead of time. They will. So that is the very first day of school. If you want to know about every other day, let me know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And as a reminder, if you want to see more, comment below. If you want to download my plans for the first week of school on my checklist, then you need to make sure you visit the description below. All right, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.